Ladies, before January even hits, you could be setting yourself up for a whole new level up. But you're probably stuck repeating the same routines that keep you in the same place. And I want to change that today. Okay, ladies? So I'm sharing 10 transformational habits you need to start before the new year so you can walk into it already having made progress. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this video. Ladies, you have to start practicing your decisiveness, okay? A lot of the issues with staying stagnant is that you are not making the decision that you know you need to make, okay? Stop sitting on choices and make the decision and move on it, okay, ladies? That's decisiveness. Having options and weighing them and sitting on them for long periods of time and never actually ending up making your decision is what's keeping you in the same place. Okay, so you need to now start making choices and start making movement. Decisiveness is what gets you from something being in your brain, okay, to you actually bringing it to fruition. You have to make the decision, okay? So no more sitting around mulling over what it is you think you need to do. If you make a decision, even if it's wrong, at least you have the experience, okay? And you can go back into that with a better understanding of whatever it is. This is the time frame to stop overly worrying about making the wrong decision and just give yourself the experience of even having made the wrong decision, because we learn from failures just as we learn from success. Okay, ladies? Start being more decisive before the new year comes. 2, start curating your circle. Ladies, bring intentionality into your friend groups. Not every friend is meant for everything, right? And you need to start understanding the who's who of the people who's in your life. Right? You need to understand what purpose people serve in your life. And let's get to it. If they're not serving a purpose in your life, they should not be there. Right, ladies? So you need to be deciding who these people are to you, what purpose do they serve in your life, and then act accordingly, okay? Time is out for looking for business advice from the woman who's never owned a business or has no aspiration to and just wants to tell you not to do it. Time is out for getting relationship advice from a woman who actually says, F all men, let's stay single, okay? Time is out for that. You need to decide what and who you can talk about what subjects and what real purpose these people serve. And you need to curate your conversations and what you speak to these people about based on their purpose in your life. You should be intentional with these conversations and these choices. Curate your circle. And if anything else, if someone is there and they just inspire you, make sure that it's someone who inspires you, not people who are draining you, okay? If they're purely draining you, they don't need to be there. Okay, ladies? Number 3, start doing weekly self-reflections, okay? You need to be taking an inventory of the things that you are doing to progress yourself every single week, and then asking yourself at the end, what worked, what didn't, what do I need to change, okay? Because sporadic change isn't really effective, as effective as if you are actually taking inventory of what's happening in your life, okay, ladies? You need to know what's working for you and what's not, instead of throwing caution to the wind and just hoping for the best, right? This is a time frame where we sit down and we get intentional and we get to journaling and really asking ourselves, what changes are we making? And if we're not actually doing anything to make change or progress, then that needs to change, right, ladies? But weekly self-reflection check-ins is going to keep you accountable to yourself, right, ladies, to make sure that you are actually moving towards any goals that you may have. Number 4, which I feel like is a big one, build a luxury standard. Ladies, gone are the days where you should be feeling uncomfortable being in places that are considered luxury or high end. Gone are the days where you walk into a place that is upscale and you feel like you should not be there. Gone are those days. You should be making yourself frequent those enough to where when you walk into there, you feel as if you belong, because you do. You deserve to walk into those spaces and feel as comfortable as anyone else in that space. So you need to build your luxury standard. Allow yourself to be in those environments. Allow yourself to wear the outfits that you feel are for those other people. No, those are for you too. Allow yourself to create routines that feel elevated because those are for you too. Allow yourself to use the skincare that feels like this is just doing too much. It's not doing too much, okay? It's for you too. Stop giving yourself the lesser of everything. Build a luxury standard. 5, ladies, this is a huge one. You need to train yourself to follow through. This is day-to-day small task, every single thing, everything, ladies. When you wake up in the morning, there are things that you know that you need to get done. And those 4 or 5 things, whatever they are, train yourself to follow through and make sure by the end of the day that you've actually completed those tasks. You want to do this in the small things, in the larger things. You want to make sure that you're training yourself to get done the things that you actually are supposed to instead of procrastinating to the point where you never do them. Right, ladies? If it's something that you don't feel like doing the most, that probably should be one of the first things that you actually do, so that you can go ahead and get it out of the way, because the longer you push it out, the less likely you are to do it, okay? Train yourself to follow through on things so that once you get them done, you actually have a sense of accomplishment rather than feeling like you pushed everything out and potentially did not even do them. Number 6, ladies, we have to learn the art of silence. And I'm not saying you have to walk around being this mystical figure that doesn't speak to anyone. But what I'm saying is sometimes silence is your best response. Sometimes silence is the way that you protect your peace. And sometimes silence is how you protect yourself from oversharing. Okay? Everybody is not meant to know everything about you. Gone are the days where we have to be open books to feel accepted. Okay, we are not searching for anyone's acceptance. We're not trying to prove to anyone that we're interesting. It is okay for them not to know. Okay, ladies, learn the art of silence and not the art of trying to prove yourself all the time. Sometimes leaning back and letting the other person talk and spill all the beans on whatever they have going on is going to be your best attack, and not oversharing your business and not inviting people into your life and into your business that are there to not actually bring positivity. Silence is the tool to do that a lot of ways, ladies. Until you learn how to maneuver whoever these people are in your life, silence is the way that you can sit back and see, because if you let a person talk long enough, they're going to tell you what you need to know. Okay? Learn the art of silence. Number 7, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Ladies, when you start to tap into those uncomfortable areas, you have to realize it's because you're not used to being there. And guess what? The life that you want and the things that you want for yourself, guess where they are? They're in the places that you're not used to being in. Okay, so you have to make yourself get comfortable with the discomfort. Lean into new experiences. Lean into having the harder conversations. Lean into trying new workouts. Lean into the things that you don't commonly do, because when you start to step into spaces that you are not currently in, that's when you experience new realities, new ways of living. That's when you start to open up new traits about yourself that you didn't even know that you had. That's when you start to understand how to interact with people in a way that you feel like you couldn't do previously. When you get into being okay, being uncomfortable, you start to experience things that are different than what you currently experience. Your reality right now is based on your comfort. So if you want to step out of that reality, you have to step out of your comfort zone. Number 8, rehearse the future that you want. Rehearse it, rehearse it, rehearse it. Ladies, in your small day-to-day actions, what does the woman that I want to be, what would she be doing right now? Is she going to lay here on the phone and scroll and look at TikToks? Or is this woman getting up, doing her skincare, getting her fitness routine knocked out? What does the woman that I want to be, what would it look like? What would she be doing right now? Okay, what would she be driving right now? Where would she be living right now? Where does she grocery shop? Where does she buy her clothes? What kind of clothes does she even wear? Who does she have conversation with? What kind of friends would she have? And then you need to start implementing that in your life. You assume the position, ladies. You assume it, you take it on as if it's fully you already, because here's the thing, it is you, it's just future you, and you need to bring that future you into the present, and you do that by doing the things that future you would do. Okay. 9, and this is a big one, especially when you're talking about glow up, especially when you're talking about level up. It's really, really, really hard to level up when you ain't got the funds doing what they need to do. Ladies, you need to develop some financial routines and automation, okay? And when I say automation, having money automatically coming out of your check to go to your savings, having money automatically coming out of your checking to go to your stocks or go to your investment account. Okay, ladies, making sure that when you look at your account, all the money that you had in there is not going to Uber Eats and DoorDash and buying things that are not going to progress you. Where is your money going? Review that, okay? Do these purchases look like purchases of the person that I want to be? If they don't look like the purchases of a person that you want to be, you need to rethink where you're investing your money, okay? Automate and review. Automate and review. That is going to be the biggest thing in developing really good financial routines. And ladies, if you're a woman who is just not used to having money on hand, you have to make yourself get used to abundance. And how do you get used to something? You experience it, and you allow yourself to experience it for a longer period of time, which means if you have money coming in and you usually spend it, you need to let it sit in the account so you can get used to seeing your account at a higher number. So you can get used to being the woman who has that amount in her checking account and it doesn't feel like it's burning a hole in her pocket. Okay, ladies, make yourself get used to that. That is how you develop good financial routines. Lastly, ladies, protect your digital space, because let's be honest, that is a huge thing now. We all have social media. We all have multiple platforms, okay? And we realistically take in a lot of information, a lot of news, a lot of everything from our phones. So it does require us to protect that digital space. Get people and things off of your timeline that are draining to you, that are making you feel unmotivated, that are making you feel inspired, that are telling you that what you're doing is okay and you don't need to change. Okay, ladies, all of these things that are not actually progressing you towards the person you want to be, you got to get that out of your face. Okay, you got to get that out of your space. You got to get that out of your mind. Okay, you need to mute some people. You need to declutter that noise so that you can have a feed and a timeline and have content popping up that fuels you, that gets you excited, that makes you pop up and get to moving, because you're like, that is happening for her, and I know that can happen for me. It needs to be something that inspires you. Okay, ladies, that's what you need from your digital space. Gone are the days of sitting up looking at people argue back and forth online, okay? Talking about people back and forth online. That's not helping you do anything, okay? What are you looking at that's going to help you move closer towards your goals? Because that's the content you need to be taking in. Content like this. If you're on this video, kudos to you, because you're actually looking at content that is going to fuel you, okay, ladies? And that's what you need to be taking in. So I hope that those tips were helpful. I didn't want to give you the cutesy tootsy little tips there. I wanted to give you some things that are actually going to be transformational to you as we're getting closer to the new year. And with all that being said, I can't leave you without giving you an affirmation. Today, your affirmation is, I walk in habits that align with my best life. Okay, ladies, so comment that down below. I walk in habits that align with my best life. Hey ladies, so hopefully y'all enjoyed today's video. Listen, if you need some help or some tips or some motivation to stay consistent in all these changes we're making and all this elevating we're doing going into the new year, I'm going to recommend a video coming up next. Go ahead and watch that. It's going to give you some really, really helpful tips and motivation on staying consistent during this level up journey so that you can actually give yourself time to see results. Okay, ladies? And with all that being said, I want to thank you for watching another episode of Get 'em Girl, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.